Engine?
Check.
Fuel?
Check.
Tires?
Check.
Helmet? Helmet?
Check.
Okay, aerodynamic he's not, but he sure can make some tracks. Mickey Speedway, USA.
Goofy?
Check.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. If you have been waiting for the next new episode of Remember 64, or at least I'm back. Jiggy Look Back has been here for quite some time, working away on YouTube. If you're listening to this episode will be releasing in early 2025. We're recording this as 2024 winds down. It has been 6 months. Jiggy Look Back and myself have sat down, actually more than 6 months at this point. This week, we're going to be speeding through the U.S. and your podcast. We are back, everybody. Jiggy Look Back. Hello. How are you?
I'm great. As in, it's in my name, so I'm always back. You know, it's just
you were
kinda the way
always
it
here.
is.
You don't need to come
I was
back. You're
always back.
Here. Yeah. You're
So
always back.
I'm here. It's good to have you. It's good to hear your voice. Good to see your
know.
smiling
I
face.
know. Like, it's... if anyone doesn't know, the reason why there was such a long hiatus was my wife and I had a kid in June. We welcomed our first child to the world, and it's been fantastic. It's been great. It's been very busy. Obviously, I needed to take time to sort of make all that happen and get the family going, so to speak. And then work gets in the way, life gets in the way, and it's just a matter of sort of trying to find days, the times, not just record but play these games. Well, that's something too. We're not just trying to half-ass our way through this stuff. We want to play these games. We want to analyze them. We want to talk to each other about them. So I'm happy to be back, and 2025 is going to be kicking off sort of, I don't know if you want to call it era or something like that, but we are going to be going through a bunch of games, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, as I've said before. And we're starting off with a banger. But in the meantime, Jiggy, how's sort of the second half of 2024 been for you as we sort of wind down I was going to say another year of us doing this, but it was kind of only just half a year. But how's things? How's it been going?
Oh, it's been absolutely busy. Things are kind of stacking up exponentially. I just passed 10,000 subscribers on my own YouTube, so that was a milestone for this. But yeah, I've been really missing our chats on Remember 64, and I am not alone. I have had multiple people reach out and ask more, like, people listen to the podcast. They know you were going to be on hiatus, like you said this.
Yeah.
And yet they're still like, is it done? Is it gone? Are you good? Like, I'm like, it's fine. He's coming back.
Yeah.
I was like, give him some time.
I will say I definitely thought I was going to be back sooner. Like my thought was, okay, it's going to be a few months at least, realistically. And then if anyone who has had a little kid, some at certain points in the first 5 months, the baby will hit a sleep regression, which essentially they just do not cooperate. It varies of how they respond to that. For us, it was very much, we need to like really not sleep for long stretches at all. So having any time in the evening, very difficult. And then I started going back to work in person a lot more. And it was just like, well, all my days are just, I'm not playing games. I'm not sit down and talk. I want to make sure that I'm back, that we're back, that we're going to do this show the way we always have, which has been awesome. And why I'm thankful that people are happy that they want it to come back, and we're looking forward to it. So are we. So this is where we are. This is what's going on. Jiggy, you've been kicking ass on YouTube. Congrats on the big number. And we'll keep... one of the reasons why the game we're going to talk about today is because you have, at least of this recording, have recently gone through it. And it was one that we've been talking about for a while. We are talking about, I want to get like full name, because I always called this like Mickey's USA or something like that. That's what I always called it. So Mickey's Speedway USA from 2000 on the N64, a late addition to which I didn't realize until I was playing this again. And a rare title, rare LTD, if you want to say title. So
You know that's right.
yeah. So we're gonna go through a bunch of rare games. We have already. We've done GoldenEye, and I will say I'm going to. Kazooie is coming up, everyone. If anyone's going to be talking about Banjo-Kazooie, someone with Jiggy in there.
Yeah, that's right.
That. It's been a long time coming for that. That's definitely one that we spend lots of time with and sort of get it right, so to speak. So 2025 is the year for Banjo-Kazooie. Watch out for that. But okay, so let's start with this. Jiggy, what was and has been your experience with this game? You have a little bit of a history with it. Start from there.
Yeah, so my history with this game, I would say it actually starts with the prequel, that is the Game Boy Color game.
Okay. Although, is it the one of the same title? Is that like
There is one of the same title.
Yeah.
That's not a prequel. That's just the same game, just on Game Boy Color,
Gotcha.
which I have played that too. But the one before it was Mickey's Racing Adventure.
That's the one I have. That's the one I grew up with too. I have that.
That game is actually really fun. And I love this weird thing they did on Game Boy. They're just like, oh well, we need to make a racer. Let's make it an RPG. Oh, we need to make Mario Golf. Let's make it an RPG. Like they did that so often with Game Boy Color games.
Mario Golf and Mario Tennis are essentially RPGs with sports attached to them. And I would say that I think I've said it on this before, and especially in the Mario Golf episode. That Mario Golf Game Boy Color game is one of my favorite games of. I think it is perfect. Perfect.
Yes. So Mickey's Racing Adventure RPG.
Yeah,
it's great. It's got a little hub world. You're walking around. You can visit all your little friends in their houses and stuff. You upgrade your vehicles. You
can check your mail.
Really cool.
You
can check your mail. Pluto's around there somewhere. You can dig holes and stuff.
It's so random. After playing a decent amount of game we're talking about here for N64, I still have the cartridge. I'm not sure if you do. I put it in my GBA works. My Game Boy Color doesn't anymore, so I played in my GBA, which is behind me with a video version. There it is. Yeah. Oh, also see-through cart. Like that's great. No, they didn't.
Gotta love those Game Boy Color carts.
Love it. And then I was reminded. What has it been so long since I played it? And I don't know if you have any experience with old like NES racers at all, but the first thing with perspective, because sort of top down sort of mini thing.
Yeah. It's like Pro-Am
and Micro Machines. I used to play the shit out of Micro Machines at a friend's place on the NES because he had it and it was fun. And on the NES, that was like crazy cool, idea for a racer, which I still think is very cool. I think in the Hot Wheels games, a recent kind of similar to that, but that's what it reminded me of with, the Disney and Mickey flavor on it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Rare basically took the Pro-Am formula and just skinned it with Mickey and then made it sort of into this. It's a hodgepodge of a few different things.
Yeah.
On Game Boy at least.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I really enjoyed that one. I played that one quite a bit growing up. I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. And then they, they had to follow it up. And fun fact about that game, which I learned when I was making my video, but I just think it's amazing. David Weiss did the soundtrack for Mickey's Racing Adventure.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah. Super cool.
That's great.
He did not do the soundtrack of Mickey Speedway USA, which I'd have to look up. I'm totally doing it right now.
Yeah. So I have the same experience. I played that one. I think personally, I may have dabbled a little bit in Speedway USA. A little bit, because I booted it up. I turned on my 64 for the first time in 6 months and played it, and I was like, oh yeah, this song, or like the setting, like in the bedroom sort of like thing, menu and stuff, kind of feels familiar. I played one of the tracks. I was like, okay, this kind of feels familiar, and I think I played this a little bit. It may have been a rental or at a friend's place, but I didn't have a ton of experience. I'm kind of coming in, I would say, mostly.
Okay. Yeah, I did play this one growing up. I had it.
Okay.
I do not know when I acquired it, but I had it, and I remember having it. And I had to reacquire it for my collection, but it's one I played to a certain point. I believe I got all the like gold trophies in the
Okay.
like base races, and then I could not get farther than the 4th Grand Prix that opens up after you do that, because it's pretty hard. And I was a little kid. Like it starts off relatively easy, ramps up pretty quick, and then it just gets to a point where you have to know what you're doing or you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Ben Cullum, by the way, did the soundtrack for this game, and it is phenomenal. I'm sure we will talk about it as we go, but it is
catchy.
great.
Yeah, we'll play some audio in a little bit. Guys, it's been a while. I say, yeah, no, this is actually a really great game to kind of like come back as like the first sort of episode, I think, because kart racers are classic on Nintendo consoles, especially. We both love Diddy Kong Racing. That is it's my favorite kart racer. I really don't think that beat it. I haven't played a lot of really ones, but as far as the era of the 90s, 2000s, it's the
Yep.
I think
I have played a lot of kart racers, and Diddy
you've
Kong
definitely played
Racing
more than
is
me.
still the best. Don't even bother with Garfield Kart unless you want a really buggy, funny time with friends.
I think I'll put a little small caveat on best is that I think it's like no competition that it's the best single player. I know we've discussed on one of your
100%.
videos. No question that it is. Multiplayer, the argument could be that maybe like Double Dash, which I know is later, but Double Dash is a fantastic game. Mario Kart Double Dash, I think, has a lot of ideas that back to, but there's an argument. But the reason why I say
fair.
the reason why I say that this is a good one is because kart races you don't have to take so seriously. You can jump in, play some races, jump back. We can take a couple weeks to kind of get our feet wet back. At least for me, get my feet wet and playing 64 again and stuff. I did play some while I was my son and stuff in the last 6 months. I played all the way through Banjo-Kazooie on my Steam Deck. That's the only thing I was able to play in the last 6 months is
epic.
sort of on the go. I played it from start to finish and got like 95% of collectibles. I went ham. Which, if you listen to the previous episode on your feed, I have a little story that was like, go back one mini episode from this, and you can do that if you haven't already. This is it's a fun game, but I was surprised at how much that difficulty ramps up. That was one of the things that I jotted down in my head of like, I was very surprised how difficult this gets so quickly. On the beginner difficulty, on what would essentially be, I would assume they want to be a kid's game. I think it's pretty easy, kind of in first, maybe second, but you're in the lead the whole time. The rubber banding's not too bad, I don't think. It's there, but it's not crazy. You can safely get yourself to a place through sets of Grand Prix or whatever the name is for them in this. But then when you jump up to the middle difficulty, I think you already need to know what the hell you're doing. It is not easy. I was like,
oh, absolutely.
And that's what I started with, because I was like, what's what would the equivalent of like a 50cc Mario Kart? I'm like, those are always just, I've played a kart racer. I got this. Holy shit, I got my ass kicked right away.
Yeah, listen, it's like, it was one of the things when I put my video out that people kept talking about. It's like the beginner level, the AI is stupid and like running into walls. Like,
They're very simple.
Like, we're talking like, if I had to scale the AI skill level, it would be like a 1 on the beginner level. And then you go to intermediate and it bumps up to like 7.
Yes, I was just going to say the exact same number.
Huge jump. But then you get to professional and then it's 10. Like, you have to like basically be perfect.
It's like 12, man. Like it's
well, I would say 12 for the last Grand Prix, because
oh yeah, I didn't get to that point. The fourth one, or because 5, isn't it?
The frantic finale.
Yeah, that's the 5th one.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Oh yeah, 5th one.
Yeah. So I got to the 4th one. I did not get to the.
Yeah. So the 5th one, when you get to those courses, there are a lot of like quick turns, it's not Hawaii. I'm trying to think of which one it is.
Yeah,
Maybe
there's
it's
one on a beach.
maybe
I
it's
saw a video
Oregon?
of it. I think it's a California. I'll look it up.
Something. You have to like drive in the you're like driving through a cave and stuff, and then all of a sudden you hop into a bridge and you're just quick turns left, right, left, right. I mean, that is like impossible. It is so difficult. And this game, so fun fact, it
I'm all
was
about fun
built
facts. Let's.
it was built off the Diddy Kong Racing engine,
Yes,
obviously.
saw that. Yeah.
But it was built off the modified Diddy Kong Racing engine that was used for Jet Force Gemini. So there's this
Oh,
weird trail of like Diddy Kong Racing, Jet Force Gemini, Mickey Speedway USA. And I guess if you dig into the files of Mickey Speedway, you can probably find some Jet Force Gemini elements in there, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it definitely has a lot of similarities to Diddy Kong Racing as far as like gameplay mechanics go.
yeah.
But
There's
yeah,
ideas there that are similar. There's not. One of the other things I noticed. I was also find the. Oh, is it Malibu? Is it that one?
that sounds right.
Yeah. You're sort of like on the beach.
I know there's Hawaii, and it's not Hawaii. It's like the one right after that.
Yellowstone, Washington, Everglades, and Malibu. Oh no, that's not it. No, that's actually the
No.
fourth one. I played Malibu.
Yeah,
Hawaii. I think it's Hawaii. It's on the
it's right after Hawaii. It's the
Oh.
one after Hawaii.
Oregon.
It is Oregon. Okay, I thought it was Oregon. I wasn't sure though.
Yeah, Oregon. So
Yeah.
you're on like sort of like a
Yeah, Oregon
walkway
sucks.
over the water.
Sorry if you're listening to this in Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah, Oregon.
I think
Okay.
I really hope I'm pronouncing it right because I said Oregon and someone like corrected me and they're like, it's Oregon.
I don't know. I'm
And I was like,
Canadian.
I'm from the
Canadian. I
Midwest.
probably say things a little bit different. I don't know.
I was like, well, we're not that far apart where I'm from.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the maps though, like the races themselves. Now that they're and the similarities to Diddy Kong Racing and stuff is that I think these ones, racers might feel kind of the same. Let's start with that. Let's start with the characters. Start there because I think the roster is pretty small to start with, and I was a little bit disappointed with that. But I guess there's some unlockables. Get Huey and Louie and stuff, and it's just there's not a lot of variety in the type of like statistics. I guess you call it like that each has like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you notice a huge difference as you flip between racers?
It doesn't feel as strong as it does with Diddy Kong Racing, but
Yeah.
it feels similar to the differences in like Mario Kart 64, I think. Whereas you have Pete and Goofy, which are heavy, and then you have like Daisy and Minnie, which do the acceleration quickly and handling, and then Mickey and Donald are just kind of all arounders, the Mario and Luigi's, if you will.
Yep.
But I did notice that at least starting out and doing all the normal Grand Prix, I felt like Pete and Goofy had the advantage.
I used Goofy because I just like the character. Oh, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I felt like it was. They got the top speed. That's their.
Yeah.
Heavy, but
Exactly.
top speed, which is the Bowser, the Donkey Kong Jr. that they call him in the first Mario Kart. Is that what?
Yeah. Yep.
Those guys.
Yeah, I think heavy characters with a high top speed have an advantage, especially in the first 3 Grand Prix, because a lot of these stages are very open.
Yes.
They're like I'm looking at the footage you're playing right now, and like this is Chicago. We're going underwater under the sewers, which is it's a really cool vibe. It's a really cool level.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite levels.
I agree. I like this one a lot.
And it's really cool because there's secret paths. But we can talk about that a little bit later. But it doesn't have a lot of hazards. It's very wide and open, and when you're hitting boosts and stuff, as long as you can hit those boosts and like navigate your turns, you know where to turn, having a higher top speed gives you a huge edge over other characters.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, especially when I mean, the further along you go with the races, the more are and whatever. Like it does get more complicated.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I felt like I was at a think I ended up going with eventually. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Usually in Diddy Kong Racing, I pick the ones like I think put the acceleration and
Pipsy.
Pepsi and
Pipsy, maybe Tip Top.
yeah, Tip Top because I was like, okay, that's what I'm used to. I went with that, and it felt fine. I feel like I'd okay either way when I got to the higher difficulty. I think it was more my skill than it was my or lack thereof than it was the actual racer that was the problem. So
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You can get to a point in these races, especially if you get as you get to the higher difficulties like professional, you can get to the point where you're just flying through the track.
yeah,
Which is actually amazing. I made a comparison in my video about how I like this game as a kart racer in the same way I like Smash Bros. Melee as a fighter.
Okay.
Because there is a skill ceiling. There's a certain point where you have to just understand the mechanics and like frame perfect things. When you hit things perfectly, when you're hitting all these boosts, you're navigating all these turns as fast as possible, you are flying fast.
Yeah, and you got all the coins to make you go.
Yes, it just gets really, really fast, which makes me feel like this game would have such a huge competitive draw.
Oh, interesting.
But it's very unfortunate that it is so overlooked. And people that knew about this, if you don't believe me, go look at the comments in my last video. But people don't realize that this was made by Rare. That's the first thing.
Before we started talking about it sometime last year, I had no idea. I knew of the game, and because Game Boy one really for the I had no idea. I never paid attention to that as a kid, so like it was never on my radar until I got older. So
yeah, people they don't know it's made by Rare. I guess Rare, for whatever reason, didn't promote this game really, like not even on their website. I'm not sure what that's about.
Well, I would say this is similar to. I mean, it's different because it says Mario, but like Mario Paint is all or Mario Paint.
Yeah.
Paper Mario is also a game from 2000.
Yeah.
Right, so we played that about a year ago. Check out that episode. Incredible game. Aside from the toy box, otherwise it's an amazing game. Which I think we were all on the same page for about.
Yeah.
But I think in 2000, 64 was not.
It was going out.
It was on its way out, right? So if you don't have Mario's face on the front or someone in Mario's party, it's unfortunate because it's not like this is a nothing game. It's not like it's throwaway sort of license. Sometimes license trash, but not one of those. I don't know. I'm just attributing that to.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true.
I mean, it's a fair point. I thought about that too. Like the PS2 is releasing that year. The Dreamcast was already out. The GameCube and actually, I'm not sure. Did the Xbox release in 2002? The GameCube was at 2001.
Xbox was 2001. GameCube was, I think, probably still being called Project Dolphin at the time, would be my guess. But it was like around the corner.
Yeah.
They were talking about it.
Yeah, like, so the hype for next-gen consoles was real. And I know this is no 3D platformer either, coming from Rare. Which I always wondered if they made a Mickey 3D platformer at this time, it would have been the best Mickey platformer ever, because it would have been off the heels of Banjo-Tooie. It would have been Rare Mickey Mouse. It would have been awesome. I don't know why they went in the kart racer direction. I'm not mad about it. I like that this game exists. I actually think it's a pretty cool kart racer. They did release one on PS1 as well. Not made by Rare. I don't know who made it. It's oh goodness gracious, I can't think of what it's called. But it's got Chip and Dale on the cover, I believe.
Called Mickey's?
No, it's not Mickey Speedway. It's like Disney Magical Racing Adventure or something. Some more generic sounding thing than that.
Yeah. Walt Disney's World Quest Magical Racing. Like it rolls off the tongue, really. It's a fantastic title. Crystal Dynamics made it. Oh.
That's right.
Oh, nice. They're great.
And looking at the title, like just to pull back a little bit here.
Yeah.
I always call it Mickey Speedway.
Yeah.
I never call it unless I have to specifically specify to someone Mickey's Speedway USA. And the USA part of it. That's the part I don't like. The only reason why I would have liked it if it was Mickey Speedway USA and then they followed it up and they did like Mickey Speedway
Asia? Like what?
Asia, or yeah, like some like they did Australia. Like they did some
Right.
like different stuff. Like that would be super cool if they started doing different countries.
This just occurred to me. So first of all, the reason why that is, if anyone doesn't know, is because every track is based off of a quote unquote real location. So you mentioned Chicago before. We talked about Oregon and Malibu. There's York. There's whatever. There's like a dozen tracks, which is not a small amount. So there's a decent amount as you unlock more. Just occurred to me, maybe if this game came out earlier, or if they made like a actual, they were going for the Cruisin' World, Cruisin' USA thing. Mickey Speedway USA, Mickey Speedway World. Like, I wonder if that's what they were thinking of as to why they did that. Because those games are largely the same, I would say, in my opinion at least. Feel largely they're arcade games, just ported to consoles, right? You're just in different locations with different vehicles. Mostly this could have been the same if they made another one. Surprised they just called it World or International, or like you said, name a continent.
Yeah.
Mickey Speedway South America or something kind of cool. Go through all these areas in Brazil and Peru, and like that'd be awesome. Which is what you do in Cruisin' World, is you go through those types of places. But this would have like the Disney spin on it. Maybe.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's also kind of weird. The Disney spin like really isn't there for a lot of tracks.
No, it's really just like a cartoon look on what they say is real.
Yeah, they go for almost realism when it. I mean, as far as realism goes, on an N64 in the year 2000
with a kart racer and Mickey
with a kart racer
driving around. Yeah,
but for the most part, nothing about these tracks is Disney. Nothing about these tracks is rare, really. I mean, they don't look bad by any means. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like saying they're bad looking. They don't have a lot of finesse to them. They don't have a lot of style. And there is exceptions though. Like New York. New York has a Statue of Liberty Mickey and
yes,
a bunch of like if you look in the background, you'll see a bunch of statues of different Disney characters. I actually just noticed that the Indianapolis track has a blimp in the background that has the Disney logo on it, which is kind of cool. But there's not a whole lot of that.
No, even then, I think I noticed the Statue of Liberty one because
that one's pretty obvious.
And I think I've probably seen almost like something that I've recognized or seen before. But yeah, there's not a lot. Like, where's the other one? Oh, the Philadelphia one, which is like you're on like the docks stuff, and there's opportunities. Like, why don't you just like put a character sort of by, every once in a while that pops up, and not to interfere in the race, but like you can have ideas.
Have Chippendale fishing or something in the background.
Yeah, like it's really just the core characters that are the racers, and then I don't know which Louis or whatever that's doing the countdown for the beginning of the race. That's it.
I think it's Louis.
Yeah, I don't remember the colors. The color difference.
Green. I don't remember. I get them mixed up every single time.
I used to know,
but I think Dewey's. No, I think Dewey's red.
Look it up,
Dewey's
or should we just keep guessing?
I think we should just give stuff for people to talk about.
Because what the hell
like,
else?
What do you think on the podcast? Which one is?
Don't look it up. What is your first
blue,
guess?
Louis is green and Dewey is red. That's my guess.
Okay.
I think we agree on Louis being green.
Yeah, for some reason that sounds. I look up as like comic with.
The mystery continues.
far as this picture goes, Huey is red.
I do not remember what I said now.
I think we said Louis was green. Anyways, not critical, but also basically the point is they could have maybe Disney up a little. Maybe, these are licensed properties. Maybe they weren't able to. There could be some sort of small reason why that kind of stuff happened. Who knows, right? But I think that largely it just feels like a racer.
Yeah.
That didn't necessarily have to be, but there's still Disney personality in it when it comes to, I would say, like the sound effects, things like that pop up. So that I think is where it is.
How do you feel about the voices?
So they're okay. The racers' voices are fine. But I think they talk a little too much sometimes.
Yeah. You can turn it off in the settings.
You can turn it off because there's stuff happening behind you.
Yeah.
That is like going off, like, me or whoever is like saying, "Oh my God, I got hit," or whatever her quote is. Like, I don't care. You're 5 spots behind me. Why is that playing? I'm gonna see if this actually.
I had to listen. I loved it. I like, people complained about it all the time, but I found it hilarious. Ori!
And again,
they
they
are the actual actors too.
Yes, which is great. Like, no matter what it sounds like, that's great. I think. So it's good. I think it's pretty well done. And like we've said with other games, like the sound, but like largely it's usually pretty good. And I think the music goes a long way with something like this. Like the personality of cartoon, like this kind of cartoon, music matters, and it's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah. The music is one of the highlights for me.
Yeah.
He did a great job. It just, like, especially that title track, but even little things is like the menu. Like the menu is pretty.
Yeah. Let's go back to the actually. We have to talk about the menu. Other parts of the menu.
Yeah, the menu's pretty cool. These are the kind of menus I love.
If anyone's not watching it, what this is sort of pan back and forth of like a bedroom that has a Nintendo 64 plugged in with a yellow controller.
Cool controller.
Plugged into an old school sort of TV that looks like it's from like the 50s. A very like Disney kind of thing. And it just sort of like pans around, the room, and you have like characters. And you can just, honestly, you can sit here forever and just watch it.
Yep, and as you like navigate the menu, you have to press A, you have to select your character before you can actually get to the other parts of the room that let you select things in the menu.
Yeah, which is a little weird. I thought that was kind of...
It's a little weird. I wish you could just like pan left and right with the joystick.
Well, I don't understand why you're not picking your character before, like after you pick your race. That's what was...
Yeah.
You have to like back...
It feels a little backwards.
Like it should be that should be after you pick. Although I guess the other kart racers don't. It feels weird because of the way the menu is set up. Because you start with this shot of the room, like we just said, and then you like exit that, and you characters on the road, and then you go back to the room. So it kind of feels in that way.
Yep.
Yeah. Because then after you pick your racer, go back to the bedroom, another part, and all the races stuff are on like toy blocks, putting kids' toy blocks back on top of each other. I loved that. I thought that was a nice little time.
Yeah, it is cool. And then whenever you select a race, you go to like a pegboard, like a bulletin board kind of thing with the different tracks laid out. And then if you go to like multiplayer, you go to like, there's a little I'm trying to think if that's practice mode or if that's multiplayer. I think it's multiplayer. Takes you to the little race car track with the little toy cars.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that was one. I just selected it. I never actually played.
Yeah, and then there's a computer for like the options and stuff and
Yes.
cheat codes, which you actually unlock cheat codes as you go,
I like when
which is
games
pretty
do
cool.
They don't.
Yeah,
They
it
don't
makes
have
it
to hide it behind a manual.
yeah, and you don't have to enter a specific code. It feels like you unlocked it rather than you're cheesing the game. You know,
Yes,
which I like that.
right. It's a reason of. It's another way of having unlockables when that wasn't always a thing that time. You know, like it was about entering a cheat. That's how that's.
Yeah,
That's a big
and
difference. Yeah.
a lot of the cheat codes are like cosmetic stuff too, to like items, like changing the way things look, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the game has some cool. Like here's a Mount Rushmore of Disney heads. That was pretty neat. I don't
Yeah.
think I noticed that before.
You're not
but-
worried about the track. You just
Yeah, you're just looking at the background, like it's
Yeah.
great.
yeah. So it's and I would say like the style of it too, like the characters, like you said, it's based on on racing engine. I think that the other racers, when they're not right beside you, it kind of looks like flat pre-rendered stuff that Mario Kart 6 a bit more than it is Song. So I don't know if that's a difference. Like to me anyway, that's what it looked like. They almost have like that paper look been around them. Not your character. Your character looks whatever, but I think probably
When
just a
they're low
memory and
poly.
rendering type of thing where they just have to sort of
Yeah.
how that looks. But I think it changes when you get really close, far away. They kind of look a little bit more flat. It doesn't bother me. I just noticed that as like a graphical.
Yeah. Rare put a lot of details into the characters.
They look great.
If you play, yeah, they do. Like you were just playing as Daisy, and Daisy, you can see the individual feathers on the back of her head, which is pretty cool. If you play as Goofy, his ears flop in the air, which is super cool.
One of the first things I noticed, I was like, "Wow, that's a great little detail."
I learned after the fact that this followed Disney's like strict rules about Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Their ears are always supposed to be like recognizable as a silhouette, so they're always supposed to be like
They have to
flat.
be even.
Yeah, so whatever angle that Mickey and Minnie are in this game, their ears are noticeably like the same.
Yeah,
So it Rare like paid attention to that, which is really cool because
it
not
was
all
probably a
games do that.
requirement, but it's like you said, silhouette is how to you ever see that iconic Mickey Mouse silhouette shape. It has to be even
Yeah.
size.
If you look when they turn their heads, it's like their ears, like one goes up and the other goes down,
Yeah.
rather than like physically turning the ear, so you don't see the front of the ear ever. You always see behind the ears, basically.
Yeah, there's little touches. I want to talk about the items. This is a kart racer.
Oh yeah.
Kart racer.
Mhm.
So there's items, right? There's always
Yep.
something to either screw you over or screw your opponents. And then I think included in that can be like talked about it a little bit, but like environments. I want to mention the boost stuff first because I don't think there's very many of them, and I was to me it felt like there wasn't that many. I don't know if that mattered to you or if you even agree with me.
Some stages, some
Yeah.
tracks, I can see that because it's like you get these big, large. Actually, the one you're on right now kind of has
There's
a few. There's only a few. It feels, especially on the lower difficulties, it just feels like the boosts are few and far between. So you're moving kind of painstakingly slow, and the items don't really help balance that out so much. I feel like I don't know what the percentage is for like getting specific items, but I feel like the ones that give you boosts of speed, or like there's a bubble that you go into that gives you
Yeah.
like a turbo, like it just maxes out your stats and
It's
everything.
essentially the star.
Yeah, it's essentially the star. It's very hard to get that.
Got it like a couple times. That's it.
Yeah. It's
And I don't even know
like,
what it
even
was. I didn't even know
even
what
if
it
you're
was.
even if you're in last place, like it's hard to get even then. Like
Well,
it will not show up for you if you're in like above third place.
So that's a big difference with it. Like I mentioned a while ago that like rubber banding is here, but you're the later difficulty, feel as egregious, especially in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Terrible in that. You're always, no matter what speed, no matter what difficulty you're at, you're in first, that second place guy's up your ass no matter what you do. Happens. You're gonna have like a couple seconds of this. You know, as you get to the harder difficulty, I think just all the racers are pretty good, so it doesn't feel like it's always just one character right behind you the entire time, or you're always trying to beat one character. That's actually one thing that I notice is medium and higher difficulty. Not always you and one other racer that are getting all the points, essentially. Sometimes the second and Mickey wins the first race, second. If you win the next one, Mickey could come in fourth.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's interesting. I think that makes things feel more balanced, and you're not always just looking for one enemy racer. I like that was and I think that's part of the balancing. How they lack of the rubber banding.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good choice.
And you know what else they do? They offer retries. You can have 2 retries per Grand Prix.
Right.
Which is actually very helpful if you're stuck, because inevitably it's one particular track that you will struggle with.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be one. Like you'll be fine on all the rest. For me, in professional difficulty playing on New York track, which is what's being played on right now, I was Pete. There was a point I just could not win. And I played the track perfectly. I mean, I hit every single boost, every single turn as quick as I could. I was getting decent items. I just could not win.
Yeah, I got
and
to
I
that point in a couple, too.
retried several times. It just was not happening. I think I maxed out at like 4th place. And I had won every other race, so I still was like, I don't remember if I got first or second, but I ended up having to switch characters and do whichever one I unlocked, whichever one of the triplets I unlocked.
Whatever color, I don't know.
I think it's the blue one. I can't remember,
Yeah.
but I know that Louis is actually considered to be the best racer in the game because his
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, his stats are the green one. If that is Louis, I'm pretty sure that's Louis. I'm confused. I wasn't as confused going into this. Now I'm like so confused.
I'll let this get. I'm not gonna.
Okay, well, I believe Louis is the best racer in the game. His stats are fairly high. You know what? I think I actually have the stats over here. Because he is.
Huey has. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So Huey's red. Louis is green.
Okay. Yeah, so Louis is the best possible racer, or regarded as the best possible racer. He has 2 out of 5 in weight, so he's not actually super heavy. He's on the lighter side, but he's not light. He still has a little weight to him. His handling is maxed out, which is very important when it comes to the later races.
Yeah.
Like that helps you so much. His acceleration is nearly maxed out. It's missing 1 dot at the top. So that's very fast acceleration, and his top speed is average. So he basically has like the highest stats without being just average and everything, right? So I
and he's the unlock or second unlock that you get.
He's the unlock.
You have to get first in cups on amateur and in, which is not crazy difficult. Like it's not easy, but it's not crazy. Not like possible. Those are the first 2 difficult. Of the races, so that's manageable. You don't have to like play this thing for dozens of hours. Just that helps. The other thing too is I want to go back to the items for a minute too.
Yeah.
Is that what's mentioned that kind of how we bounced off it? I think is rubber banding stuff. Is that like the items don't respond that way. There is like this percentage of each item. I very often got the baseball and pledge thing.
Listen, I was very in my video. I was very reserved when I talked about how much I hate the I think it's called the Racer Tracer,
Yep.
It's like the red remote controlled car that you launch.
Yep. It's like the red shell in Mario.
It's like the red shell Mario Kart if it didn't work.
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't
what it
work as
is.
well. You're not wrong.
There's an RC airplane that works perfectly. That is what I consider the red shell, because that's great. And functionally, it's the same. The only difference is the RC plane one flies, and it homes in on the opponent, but it will actually make turns. You cannot hit with the Racer Tracer unless they're right in front of you.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I didn't actually really
I'm
think about
telling
it that way.
you,
Yeah.
if they turn, if they do anything, it will not hit them. And in fact, more often than not, it would just go straight into the wall. So every time
Yeah,
I got
found
it,
that too.
I would just immediately press Z and just get rid of it because it was
Just-
useless. I'm like, forget it.
But to get that other one, to get the plane, to get the RC thing was
Here it is right here. Let's see what happens.
yeah. Well, no one's in front of me. So I think I just held on to it. Yeah, the plane one was again one of those ones that's really hard to get. I got it like a handful of times. That was it.
Yep.
Like, and I guess that's okay that it's not always you only get the thing that gives you the advantage, but that does increase difficulty. Like that makes it harder. If you are on the middle or God forbid the hardest difficult professional one, and you don't get the item you need, that's it. You're done. Like you've done a lap. I found if you've done a lap and you don't get the item you need to help you get back, and or the computer doesn't up in some way, done. Like you got to start over.
Yeah, basically.
Races aren't super long like most kart racers, so a couple minutes is all it is. But like those retries, like you got to use those.
Yep.
Kind of screwed.
And the thing that kind of stinks about the items, and it's there's only 2 items, unless I'm wrong about that number count, but I'm pretty sure there's only 2 items that you can use forwards and backwards.
Yeah,
like
that's the baseball. And
yeah, the baseball and
I
the
think
goo, the slime or the paint.
lime. Yeah, I think.
Because you can throw it, you can throw the paint forward, or you can just drop it like an oil slick right behind you. And the baseball is the same. You can launch it forward like a green shell, or you can like just drop it immediately behind you. It doesn't move. It just stays there, and it's sort of like a little trap you set. I did like that. I like that. That's cool. I feel like if the Racer Tracer could do backwards, it would have been useful.
Oh, for sure, because the guy would be up your butt, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get the guy behind me. That would be great.
Yeah.
It would be that would be so useful. I did like with the baseball. There's a little bit of like a spin on the shell sort of idea. Is that when you what was it called? Baseball chucker, by the way.
Yeah,
or something.
baseball chucker. That sounds
and
right.
like there's a voice every time you pick it up. Baseball chucker. Like I like that. I thought that was kind of fun. Yeah, the thing is about that one is if you throw it, no one's in front of you or someone bounces off the wall a couple times and it stops at a certain and just sits on the track wherever it loses momentum. I thought that was kind of cool. Like you don't plan on where that's gonna go, but that also means like, oh, that could be yours.
It could hurt you.
Yeah, that you're gonna dodge later, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a very small idea, but I think that at least it added a little bit of a different personality compared to comparing this to Mario. So that was interesting. But for the most part, I don't think there's enough items, and I don't think they're that great. I think it's one of the weaker parts.
Agreed. They're not horrible, but they're not good. They're
not that
just
exciting.
okay.
Like they're just not that cool. I don't know what the limitation, like why there's such on them and all that, but
They're not. It doesn't have the variety. Oh, there is the Thundercloud one too, which is also really hard to get.
I honestly, I think I got that once.
Yeah, that one's
like
also really hard to get.
In a few hours of playing, exactly how long I played it, but going through difficulties completely, I think I may have gotten it once. That's crazy. Like some retries and stuff in there. It was not nothing. I played this enough. So.
Now that we're like sitting here chatting about it, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't think it's that there weren't enough items. I think it's you don't get the variety of items that you should as you're doing the race, because you really get the baseball chucker, the slime and the racer tracer over and over and over and over and over, and then occasionally you get something else, the Magnum Flyer, that's the name of it. And then the oh yeah, I forgot about the boost.
Yeah,
There's a
again,
boost.
something that is
Yeah.
like the mushroom in Mario Kart. I'm gonna keep comparing to Mario Kart, but like the mushroom
It's fair to
is
compared to Mario Kart.
so rare to get. Why?
Yeah, it's like we're talking. If I had to list these into percentages, it's like racer tracer, probably like
Baseball.
40% chance. I would
Yeah.
say the baseball chucker like 30% chance. I would say the slime. Let's see, what are we at? We're at 70. The slime's probably 25%, and then the rest of the items are in that little window there
Yeah, that's
for the
it.
rest of the percentage. That's what it feels like.
It's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know. It's how they did it. They took a different approach with the items as far as like when you get them and how you get them. Like
Yeah.
I said, I do think that makes this more difficult than it needs to be on the higher difficult. I think that would have made a bit of a difference.
Yeah, and
I
it's interesting they went the Mario Kart route with like individual items as opposed to Diddy Kong Racing, because that's one of the things I loved about Diddy Kong Racing
Yeah, we
was that
both
you
love
could
that.
you could plan out your items and have strategy to it. Whereas it's just the random, it's a party racer versus
Yeah.
competitive. That's how I see Diddy Kong Racing as competitive.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
just-
again, I
it's
think
great.
that's very much like this. Like you're
Yeah.
in this experience, you're in the story. Which, by the way, there's a story to this. Reminded me of this game. Like the sort of like world of Diddy Kong Racing is you're the racer, you're going through these races for all those things add to the whole choice that you were talking about, strategy. It's not an RPG, obviously. Like, you are planning within a race, and that's interesting. And then this is like you said. What did you think of the story? Actually, Jiggy, why don't you explain to the audience?
Yep. So the weasels, those darn weasels, who we just met, decided to steal Pluto's diamond collar. And so, in an effort to steal Pluto's diamond collar, they stole Pluto, because the collar doesn't just come off the dog.
Doesn't come off.
It doesn't come off. Also, it's fake. Spoiler.
Mickey, yeah, spoiler. Mickey literally is so terrible to his dog that he glued the collar to his.
Yep, that's it.
It's a combo deal. Have to have both.
So the weasels leave a note saying that they did this, and
nice of them.
yeah, and for some reason they require us to be professional racers to I'm not even joking. It's not even the like we have to go across the country and chase him across the country and he calls his friends for help, because that is what happens at first. But if you go and you start beating races, the professor literally says the weasels require you to be professional racers.
Yeah.
I don't. It's okay. It's fine.
Like this
Sure.
part right here, Mickey says, "Hey everybody, he's calling him up on his blue phone. Hey everybody, the weasels took Pluto. Meet me at Ludwig's shop. We have to get race cars to go after him."
Okay,
Okay.
I'm with you so far, Mickey.
Yeah, I get it. That's awful. Wait for me.
Oh,
Oh,
and Pete's
Pete,
just there.
And Goofy gets his own giant screen like thing.
Keep in mind, very similar plot to the Mickey's Racing Adventure, except last time
Nice.
it was Pete and his goons stealing all of Mickey's stuff.
And then that's pretty much it. Like, why do they need you to race closed against your friends that are helping you?
Right, your friends are supposed to be helping you, but you're all just trying to like.
They're very
Beat each other.
enthusiastic that they want to help you too, and yet the
very
second you
enthusiastic.
start are racing.
And they all yell at you like every time something happens.
Yeah,
They're
like we were
just
saying with the
shocked,
sound
like-
effects. Yeah.
Donald.
Well, you were supposed to be helping.
Yeah.
I should be yelling at you. God damn it!
Oh man, it is. Yeah, it is great.
It makes
The only
absolutely
person
no
who's actually helpful is the professor, because he just soups up our vehicles.
Oh yeah, and then there's
gives us.
4 or 5 collectibles that you have to like car parts that will.
Oh, I love that part.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things because that reminds me of Diddy Kong Racing.
Yes.
Collecting the keys and it makes you want to explore the tracks. So I believe, which I did not pick up on this at first, but I believe the areas on the map, when you're looking at the map and it shows you like the next race, the areas that have the little weasel icon on them are actually the areas that have the hidden part.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so Indianapolis
look,
right there
there's
has a hidden
Yeah,
part.
there's a little weasel there. Oh, I was trying to figure it out. I didn't want to look it up. I looked up what they were at first, and I was like, oh, okay. There's
Yeah.
areas. I looked up the last one. Okay, I'll look. I didn't actually really. There was collectible.
Yep.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so you get that, and I think that's how you unlock Frantic Finale. You get all the hidden parts, and then it unlocks the last Grand Prix, and that's the one that's super hard, and you're
I
super
unlocked
fast.
it and I never played it. Like I got to the effort of doing it, and I never played it because I just
I mean, it's not an easy game to beat. Honestly, like, the more time I spent with this game, though, the more I was liking it. Which usually, I get sick of games. Like, I'll be playing it for a while and then I'll get sick of it. But this one, I was finding myself enjoying it more and more as I kept going. I just kept getting better at the mechanics, getting a little bit faster, paying attention to my times. It was fun unlocking characters because unlocking Huey, Dewey, Louie, and the Professor, those are all the unlockable characters. There's 4, but I feel like they give you a steady pace at unlocking them. That you don't feel like you have to do something to unlock them, and it feels special and significant every time you do.
Yeah, and they feel different enough. It's not like, oh, you're just getting the skin.
Right.
You know, like they do.
Right.
Like you said, they do all have their own stats and stuff, which, by the way, other games we're comparing this to in same gen is Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. You do not see the stats of those racers.
Right.
It's just about feel. Like when I was younger, I think I talked about this with Diddy Kong Racing. I had no idea there were stats on any. I kind of knew, like I had a feeling like, oh, this guy's heavier. But other than that, I never noticed that the acceleration was nothing, right? The slow guys you can understand because you're like, oh, he starts slow. That's simple for any kid to kind of understand. Me, that was it. It's as far as I went. With this, right in front of you. You pick your character. It has all the stats right in front of you. Pretty much right away.
Oh yeah, it's much easier to pick up on when you know exactly what you're trying to like feel for.
Yeah.
Because I know Mario Kart 64, that one, I did notice it in Diddy Kong Racing because I think the difference in handling as like Crunch versus like say Pipsy is very, very obvious.
Yeah, oh my god, he is so frustrating.
Yeah, but like Mario Kart, I don't think I really noticed handling as much as I did like acceleration.
Acceleration, yeah, because Donkey Kong.
And I just really felt like, oh, Toad's the best because he just went the fastest. But yeah, this one, I think having the stats laid out adds another element because then you know what you're looking for. Because it's not even a one size fits all. Like it's not like someone as Pete is always going to win against someone as Mickey.
No, I don't think so.
It depends on the skill and how you because Mickey will have an advantage over Pete, like turning corners, whereas Pete will have it if it's a straight stretch, going faster if you hit the boosts and stuff. So then it's based on your skill, how
and
good you can
familiarity with the
tracks. Yeah.
It pays off because like there's like some shortcuts like the Grand Canyon one that I just found, I stumbled upon, and I used it a couple times. You have to really like navigate them well to take advantage of them, which not that I'm not.
You know what? The shortcuts in all the different tracks are amazing to look for, though. That's part of the fun.
It's cool. It's good. It's a very classic idea for games. I like that. I like the idea that they're there. You know, often it helps with add variety too. Whether you know it's there or not, you have it, right? And it can help you with higher difficulty. I overall, do I absolutely love it? No, but fun.
Yeah. this is one of those, if you find it somewhere, it's actually probably going to be pretty cheap. And it's totally worth a pickup. I have mixed experiences with Mickey games. Mostly because I got the Mickey's Magical Mirror on GameCube at a video game store not long ago, like maybe last year, and I did a review on it. I actually was expecting it to be really cool because it looks so cool from the cover and stuff, and I thought it was going to be I was looking for epic Mickey like platformer again.
Right.
And that's what it looked like on the back, and then it ended up being a point and click and a very mediocre one at that.
Yeah, if it's not a great point and click, it's not good.
Dude, they really sell you on that one because they're
Yeah.
like Shigeru Miyamoto also had a hand in that game design, and it had like a
Oh.
Luigi's Mansion vibe,
Good.
like very similar animations and stuff. Yep, and then
Still.
it ended up being a really mediocre point and click.
That sucks.
It has its charm, but it's not that great. But this game is great. I'm gonna go as far as to say it's great. It's just, if you want a fun kart racer and you have a 64 and you find this game, it's totally worth it.
I
You will
agree.
have hours of fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, if you get good and you have your friends and you all get good, it could be really competitive, and I like that.
Yes, yes. And it still is, because there is the difficult variation, is a decent amount of tracks, and like you said, unlocking the characters is fun. Playing it single player like I did was still good. Like, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't personally, it's not a great game for me based on probably just my lack of skill. Oh, this is whatever, but part of the reason why, I would say. But I don't disagree that it is definitely the mood for a kart racer, one you haven't played, and one that will probably surprise you at least a little bit. I think this should be on the list from this.
And it's a cool piece of history with Rare, because it's
Yeah.
how often did Rare make Disney games?
Yeah,
A couple times.
but you know, it's just it's in its own unique spot where it is licensed, like the biggest license you can think of in the world, and it's Rare, and it's a kart racer. It's just a very interesting cross section of all things, and for the most part, I think that they pull it off, and it's a lot of fun, a lot you can dig into, and
Yeah.
second place. Look.
Give it, let's just take my word for it and give it 2 hours.
Yeah.
Play it for 2 hours and I guarantee you'll be hooked. And if you're not hooked, it's Dave's fault.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. At least I get credit for something.
And if you're struggling, just try a different racer.
Yeah, no, and that's
Find your niche.
but that's true though. That is definitely something that will actually help. I had to do that. Started with Goofy on to like Donald. I do think it does make
I
a
went
difference.
deep. I started with Mickey because I wanted to do like the base average. And then I went on to Goofy. I liked Goofy, but Pete was like dominating in the races. Like, he was always right behind me, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, maybe I can just eliminate Pete if I just be Pete. And so I was Pete, and my strategy worked, and
Really?
no one else.
If
Yep.
you can't beat him, join him. Like that's
If
or,
you can't beat him, join him,
or
and
become
nobody
them.
else was holding that tight grip on second place that Pete was.
Really?
So that if I lost a race, he didn't automatically win. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, it was great.
What's the Batman quote? Come long enough to become the villain. Whatever. That's basically what you did.
Yes. You either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I just said, you know what? We'll just forget about being the hero. Let's just go right to the villain. Let's do it.
Become the villain. The Jiggy Lookback story.
Yes. Become the villain. Jiggy Lookback 2024. The last quote of 2024. Oh, I guess this is the first quote of 2025.
Hey, we're sitting in 24 right now. It's fine. It's all good.
We're close. We're close to the end already.
We're very close to the end in a lot of ways. In a lot of different ways right now.
in a lot of ways.
Life. Anyway, speaking of life, speaking of 24 and 25, Jiggy, exciting year coming up. Great year behind you. Awesome. Congrats again. We don't need to sort of, spoil sort of plans that are coming up and stuff, but I assume letting everybody know that plans are in the works for another exciting year for 2025.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Got a lot of cool projects. So many projects, so little time.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I'm at. I have so many ideas and I want to do them all, but it's a pick and choose thing. I've actually started asking on my YouTube like community posts. I'm just like, okay, so out of these, what do you like? Because I have so many
That's
things
okay
I want to
though.
do.
But that's okay because it gives you a lane to go in for that time, and then you can go back to the other ones if you after.
I have to say, the end specifically of 2024 has been a banger of good games too,
I
which
agree.
sunk a good chunk of my time. Like somehow I found a way to do YouTube videos, live streaming, and play new games, and it was just wild. But I'm telling you, October, like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, great game. Shadow Generations, that was a great game. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I was actually playing before we started this podcast, which I was like, give me 5 minutes because I'm doing online matches. It's pretty fun. And there's one more in there I totally forgot. But
It's been a solid end of the year for.
yeah, it's like all at the end of the year though. Oh, Astrobots.
I have to play Astrobot, man. I've honestly 95% of the time in the last 6 months deck because it's just
Yeah.
been, I picked one
Yeah.
up. I bought one that was on sale. It was an OLED one. I'm really really happy with it. But like PlayStation, Xbox, anything
Yep.
that hasn't been on Steam, I haven't really that much. At least in the second half of the year. So, but yeah, and fitting games like this in, I think, is always great. Like now, I can play some of these on my Steam if I have to. I would prefer to sit and play with the hand, but I have to. At least I have the option. And it can also follow my progress when I do play on Steam Deck on Retro Achievement, which Jiggy, you have to get on. Get on that.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Although you can't match it up with like EverDrive for doing that or the physical, like actual cartridge. So, but if you are emulating, cool. It
Gotcha.
puts achievements on retro games. You're emulating on
I do love that. That's
on
pretty cool.
RetroArch and stuff like that. But it's been fun. I did that as in the last 6 months. As far as this show goes, this is the first of 2025. I want to say again, like, thank you for people dealing with my life, getting in the stuff. It's all good stuff. We have a family. We have a child now. It's amazing. But you know, I was always thinking about the show. When am I going to come back? What am I going to do? I hope Jiggy still loves me. You know, things like that, like the stuff that kept me up at night. You know, and I want to do it proper. So, you know, if there's any suggestions people have, they want to suggest games as well or formats of the show and stuff, I'm happy to sort of take those ideas and we'll talk about them and sort of or feel work best. I'm happy to sort of fit and stuff. There's been a bit of a break here. Why not try something different every and that's just exciting to do. And it's just exciting to be back. So great game to start with. We're going to get into some heavy hitters probably in the first half of the year for 2025 as well. Yes, that Banjo-Kazooie, it will be here. I promise. Hopefully sooner rather than later. It will be here. So freaking excited to talk about it. And then we have the sequel that we have to get to eventually as well. So remember 64 show across the board on social media, everywhere but Twitter at this point. So looking for me, not there anymore. And other than that, tell your friends that we're back if you don't know. Get the word out there that the show is back and in full force. And we'll just keep going through the library of the N64. Exciting, wacky console. This is just the beginning of, I guess, phase 2 of the show. Call it that for now.
Phase 2.
Phase 2. It's the phase 2 of the boss fight again. So that's where we're at, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out Mickey's Speedway USA on Game Boy and on the N64. And until next time, everyone,
Game Boy.
you know, thank you so much for joining us. I thank you. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being patient. Jiggy, you and like, thank you. Great.
We're here, man.
This feels good.
Glad to be here.
Doesn't this feel right? It feels right.
Feels right.
Feels right. It's the winter as we're recording. It's so warm and cozy, isn't it?
It is.
Ooh.
It is. It's oh man, that's what the 64 is all about. You crank
When you
that baby on and leave it on for 10 hours. It gets nice and cozy.
Put it, snuggle with it under in bed and just sort of childhood. Ooh,
Oh.
God, I feel so old and tired right now that it feels good to childhood again. Anyways, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time. Remember 64. Ciao.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.